Yeah. Naomi went out with a heavy heart, and Ruth said, I'm yours, I'll play my part. Your people, my people, I choose their road. Even in grief, she carried her load. She gleaned in the field with humble hands, learning the ways of the harvest land. Every step, she listened close. Wisdom came in the little things most. She learned how to wait, learned how to kneel, learned that faith is more than a feeling. Under the law, under the sun, she kept her word till the work was done. Ruth, loyal and true. Ruth, she followed through. She bowed her heart to the Holy One. Ruth, her new life begun. Boaz saw her there with a steady face. He watched her grace in a hard-earned place. She was a servant, but she walked like a queen. Quiet obedience, pure and clean. Then Boaz took her as his own. Covenant love in a house and home. Ruth bore Obed, a promise in her arms. Small hands, big destiny, safe from harm. She learned how to trust, learned how to stay. When the road was dark, she kept the way. Honor in her steps, mercy in her name. Through the battlefields, she was never the same. Loyal and true. Ruth, she followed through. She bowed her heart to the Holy One. Ruth, her new life begun. From Obed came Jesse. From Jesse came a king. God wrote a future out of a simple thing. One faithful yes, one willing soul, and a mother's line made history. Oh, she carried the seed of a royal song. What looked like small was mighty all along. Ruth, loyal and true. Ruth, she followed through. She bowed her heart to the Holy One. Ruth, her new life begun. Obed was born, and grace rode on. Ruth, till David's song.
All right. God bless everybody. I hope everybody's having a good day. Tonight, we're going to be digging in to the book of Ruth, and we're going to show you a video of her story as we continue on with the story of King David. This is part 2. Before we get started, let us pray. Father in heaven, I thank you, Lord. I thank you for all you have done. I thank you for the people that are going to be watching. Thank you for the people who will be watching later. Lord, I ask that you bless the families that are struggling right now, that are going through some things. I ask that you be with them and that you bless everyone that sees this, Lord. Let it be your words that come out of my mouth. In the name of Yeshua, your son. Amen. All right, before we get started, I posted the link to both the upcoming animated video and to my YouTube channel on all the platforms. So if you have not hit the like and the subscribe and go check out that channel, please do so. I greatly appreciate it. Any help that can be given is appreciated. We just do a few things here and then we can get started. And then one more thing was that I forgot I got to do it manually on X, so they don't because they don't have the actual link where I can put the comments on. So I'm doing that right now, and then we can get started. Almost done, people. Almost done. All right, actually, you got both links to my page and to the animated page that is putting out that video, and many others to come. So we're gonna get into the story of Ruth, which is King David's grandmother. So let's get started. Ruth chapter 1. In the days when the judges ruled, there was a famine in the land, and a certain man of Bethlehem of Judea went to sojourn in the country of Moab. He, his wife, and his 2 sons. The man's name was Elimelech. Please excuse me for the butchering of names. Everybody that knows me knows I can't pronounce the names to save my life, but I do my best. All right. Elimelech and his wife name was Naomi, and his 2 sons were named Mahalan and Chilion. They were Ephraimites from Bethlehem of Judea. They went to the country of Moab and continued there. But Elimelech and Naomi's husband died, and she was left with her 2 sons. And they took wives of the women of Moab, and the name of one was Orpah, or Oprah, kind of like Oprah, but the R and the P reversed. And the name of the other Ruth. They dwelt there about 10 years. And Mahalan and Chilion died also, both of them. So the woman was bereft of her 2 sons and her husband. Then she arose with her daughters-in-law to return to the country of Moab, for she had heard in Moab how the Lord had visited his people and given them food. So she left the place where she was, her 2 daughters-in-law, her, and they started on their way back to Judah or Judea. But Naomi said to her 2 daughter-in-laws, "Go, return each of you to her mother's house. May the Lord deal kindly with you as you have dealt with the dead and with me. The Lord grant that you may find a home and rest, each in the house of her husband." Then she kissed them, and they wept aloud. And they said to her, "No, we will return with you to your people." But Naomi said, Turn back, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Have I yet sons in my womb that they may become your husbands? Turn back, my daughters, go, for I am too old to have a husband. If I should say I have hope, even if I should have a husband tonight and should bear sons, will you therefore wait till they were grown? Would you therefore refrain from marrying? No, my daughters, it is far more bitter for me than for you that the hand of the Lord has gone out against me. Then they wept aloud again, and Orpah kissed her mother in law goodbye, but Ruth clung to her. And Naomi said, see, your sister in law has gone back to her people and to her gods. Return after your sister in law. And Ruth said, urge me not to leave you or to turn back from following you. For where you go, I will go, and where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. The Lord do so to me, and for more also, if anything but death parts me from you. When Naomi saw that Ruth was determined to go with her, she said no more. So they both went until they came to Bethlehem. And when they arrived in Bethlehem, the whole team was stirred about them and said, is this Naomi? And she said to them, call me not Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty has dealt very bitterly with me. I went out full, but the Lord has brought me home again empty. Why call me Naomi, since the Lord has testified against me, and the Almighty has afflicted me? So Naomi returned, and Ruth, the Moabites, her daughter-in-law, with her. She returned from the country of Moab, and they came to Bethlehem at the beginning of barley harvest. Now Naomi had a kinsman of her husband's, a man of wealth, and a family of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz. Let me just say something real quick. Boaz is the father of Jesse, who is the father of King David. So Boaz is the grandfather to King David. And Ruth, the Moabitess, said to Naomi, let me go to the field, glean among the ears of grain after him, in whose sight I shall find favor. Naomi said to her, go, my daughter. And Ruth went and gleaned in a field after the reapers, and she happened to stop at the part of the field belonging to Boaz, who was of the family of Elimelech. And behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem and said to the reapers, the Lord be with you. And they answered him, the Lord bless you. Then Boaz said to his servant who was set over the reapers, whose maiden is this? And the servant said over the reapers answered, she is the the Moabitess girl who came with Naomi from the country of Moab. And she said, I pray you let me glean and gather over the reapers among the sheaves. So she came and has continued from early in the morning, and now, except when she rested a little in the house, then Boaz said to Ruth, listen, my daughter, do not go to glean in another field or leave this one, but stay here close by my maidens. Watch which fields they get reap and follow them. Have I not charged the young men, do not to molest you? And when you are thirsty, go to the vessels and drink what the young men have drawn. Then she fell on her face, bowing to the ground, and said to him, why have I found favor in your eyes, that you should notice me when I'm a foreigner? And Boaz said to her, I have been made fully aware of all you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband, and how you have left your father and mother and the land of your birth, and have come to a people unknown to you before. The Lord recompense you for what you have done, and a full reward be given you by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge. And at mealtime, Boaz said to her, come here, eat of the bread and dip your morsel in the sour wine mixed with oil. And she sat beside the reapers and passed her some parched grain, and she ate until she was satisfied, and she had some left for Naomi. And when she got up to glean, Boaz ordered his young men, let her glean, even amongst the sheaves, and do not reproach her, and let fall some handfuls for her on purpose, and let them lie for there for her to glean, and do not rebuke her. So she gleaned in the field until evening, and then she beat out what she had gleaned. It was about ephah of barley, and she took it up and put it into the town. She took it up and went into the town. She showed her mother-in-law what she had gleaned, and she also brought forth and gave her the food she had reserved after she was satisfied. And her mother-in-law said to her, where have you gleaned today? Where did you work? Blessed be the man who noticed you. So Ruth told her, the name of him with whom I work today is Boaz. And Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, blessed be he of the Lord, who has not ceased his kindness to the living and to the dead. And Naomi said to her, the man is near relative of ours, one who has the right to redeem us. And Ruth, the Moabitess, said, he said to me also, stay close to my young men until they have harvested my entire crop. And Naomi said to Ruth, "It is good, my daughter, for you to go out with his maidens, lest in any field you be molested." So she kept close to the maidens of Boaz, gleaning until the end of the barley and wheat harvest, and she lived with her mother-in-law. And Naomi, her mother-in-law, said to Ruth, "My daughter, shall I not seek rest or home for you, that you may prosper?" So let me stop here for a second. So what we see here is a grieving women. Naomi lost her husband. Naomi also lost her sons. And one of her sons' wife, Ruth, also lost her husband. And they are helping each other out cope with the loss of their loved ones. And now it is not Boaz, with whose maidens you were a relative. See, he is winnowing barley tonight at the threshing floor. Wash and anoint yourself, therefore, and put your best clothes and go down to the threshing floor, but do not make yourself known to the man until he has finished eating and drinking. And when he lies down, notice the place where he lies. Then go and uncover his feet and lie down, and he will tell you what to do. And Ruth said to her, "All that you say to me, I will do." So she went down to the threshing floor and did as her mother-in-law had told her. And when Boaz had eaten and drunk, his heart was merry. He went to lie down at the end of the heap of grain. Then Ruth came softly and uncovered his feet and lay down. At midnight, the man was startled, and he turned over, and behold, a woman lay at his feet. And he said, "Who are you?" And she answered, "I am Ruth, your maidservant. Spread your wing of protection over your maidservant, for you are a next of kin." And he said, "Blessed be you of the Lord of my daughter, for you have made this last loving kindness greater than the former, for you have not gone after young men, whether rich or poor, or vice versa, whether poor or rich. And now, my daughter, fear not, I will do for you all you require, for all my people in the city, that you are a woman of strength, worthy, bravery, capability. It is true that I'm your near kinsman. However, there is a kinsman nearer than I. Remain tonight, and in the morning he will perform for you a part of kinsman. Good, let him do it. But if he will not do the part of a kinsman for you, then as the Lord lives, I will do the part of the kinsman for you. Lie down until the morning. And she lay at his feet until the next morning, until the morning, but rose before one could recognize another. For he said, "Let it not be known that the woman came to the threshing floor. And also he said, bring the mantle you are wearing and hold it. So Ruth held it and measured out 6 measures of barley and laid it on her and went into the town. And when she came home, her mother-in-law said, how have you fared, my daughter? And Ruth told her all the men had done for her. And she said, he gave me 6 measures of barley, for he said to me, do not go empty-handed to your mother-in-law. Then said she, sit still, my daughter, until you learn how the matter turns out, for the man will not rest until he finishes the matter today. Then Boaz went up to the city's gates, and sat down there. And behold, the kinsman of whom Boaz had spoke came by. He said to him, ho, turn aside and sit down here. So he turned aside and sat down. Boaz took 10 men, 10 men of the elders of the city, and said, sit down here. And they sat down. And he said to the kinsman, Noah, who has returned from the country of Moab, has sold the parcel of land which belonged to our brother Elimelech. And I thought to you, hear of it, saying, buy it in the presence of those sitting here and before the elders of my people. If you will redeem it, redeem it. But if you will not redeem it, then say so, that I may know, for there is no one besides you to redeem it, and I am the next of kin after you. And he said, I will redeem it. Then Boaz said, the day you buy the field of Naomi, you must buy also Ruth, the Moabitess, the widow of the dead man, to restore the name of the dead to his inheritance. And the kinsman said, I cannot redeem it for myself, lest by marrying a Moabitess I endanger my own inheritance. Take my right of redemption yourself, for I cannot redeem it. Now, formerly in Israel, there was the custom concerning redeeming and exchanging. To confirm a transaction, a man pulled off his sandal and gave it to the other. This was the way of testing in Israel. Therefore, the kinsman said to Boaz, buy it for yourself. He pulled off his sandal. And Boaz said to the elders, to all the people, you are witnesses this day that I have brought all that was Elimelech's, and all that was Chilion's and Mahalon's from the hand of Naomi. Also Ruth the Moabitess, the widow of Mahalon, I have brought to be my wife, to restore the name of the dead to his inheritance, that the name of the dead may not be cut off from among his brethren and from the gate of his birthplace. You are witnesses this day. And all the people at the gate and the elders said, we are witnesses. May the Lord make the woman who is coming into your house like Rachel and Leah, the two who built the household of Israel, may you do worthily and get wealth, power in Ephratah, and be famous in Bethlehem. And let your house be the house of Perez from Tamar bore to Judea, because of the offspring which the Lord will give you by this young woman. So Boaz took Ruth, and she became his wife, and he went into her. And the Lord caused her to conceive, and she bore a son. And the woman said to Naomi, Blessed be the Lord, who has not left you this day without a close kinsman, and may his name be famous in Israel. And may he be to you a restorer of life, and nourisher of supporter in your old age, for your daughter-in-law, who loves you, who is bitter to you than than 7 sons has borne him. Then Naomi took the child and laid him in her bosom and became his nurse. And her neighbor woman gave him a name, saying, A son born to Naomi. They named him Obed. He was the father of Jesse. This small correction. Before I said Boaz was the father of Jesse. I'm correcting myself. I was wrong. He's the father of Obed. And then he is the named him Obed. He was the father. Obed is the father of Jesse, the father of David, the ancestor of Jesus Christ. Now there is descendants of Perez. Perez was the father of Hezron. Hezron was of Ram, and the list goes on. Salmon of Boaz, Boaz Obed of Jesse, and Jesse of David, the ancestor of Jesus Christ. This is where the story takes off for the coming Messiah. And that is it for the book of Ruth. I'm gonna play a 26-minute video. I'm gonna play a 26-minute video of the story of Ruth. And then the next time I do this story, we're gonna get into the prophet Samuel, and that one's gonna be a lot longer. Probably a couple of days longer. All right, so let me get a few things ready for this one. Before I play the video, let me put up the disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Title 17 USC Section 107. Allowance is made for fair use for purpose such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, is what it is, and scholarship and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing, nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in the favor of fair use. All right, so let me get the video started for you.
Women in the Bible. Yet she wasn't a queen or a prophetess. She wasn't even an Israelite, but a foreign widow from Moab. She had no wealth, no status, and no future. Her husband was gone. Her homeland offered her nothing, and the only road ahead led to poverty and uncertainty. Yet in her darkest moment, she made a choice of loyalty, love, and faith. She left behind her people, her gods, and her past to follow her mother-in-law Naomi into a land where she would be an outsider. But what seemed like a hopeless journey was actually the beginning of a divine destiny. Her name was Ruth, and through her faith, God not only redeemed her story, but placed her in the family line of Israel's greatest king and the Messiah himself. The story of Ruth takes place in the days when the judges ruled. This was a turbulent era in Israel's history after the death of Joshua and before the rise of the monarchy under Saul and David. The nation had no king, and the people often fell into cycles of disobedience, idolatry, foreign oppression, repentance, and deliverance. Morality was unstable, and Scripture records everyone did what was right in his own eyes. During this time, a famine struck the land of Judah. Even Bethlehem, whose name means house of bread, offered no bread to its people. The irony was bitter. The fields that once yielded barley and wheat now lay barren. Crops withered, food became scarce, storehouses emptied, and survival grew uncertain. In Bethlehem lived a man named Elimelech, whose name meant, "My God is King." He was married to a woman named Naomi, whose name meant pleasant. Together they had 2 sons, Mahlon and Chilion. As the famine worsened, Elimelech faced a choice no father would make lightly: to uproot his family and leave the land God had promised to his people. With survival at stake, he chose to lead them eastward, across the Jordan River, into the territory of Moab. Moab was a land often in conflict with Israel. Its people worshipped the god Chemosh and had a history of hostility towards the Israelites. Yet, at this moment, Moab offered food and stability that Judah could not. Life in Moab, however, did not bring the relief Naomi may have hoped for. Shortly after settling there, tragedy struck. Elimelech, the father and head of the family, died. Naomi, now a widow, found herself in a precarious and vulnerable position. In Moab, as in many ancient societies, a woman's status and security were intimately tied to her husband. Without Elimelech, Naomi faced a future of uncertainty, with few rights or protection, and her sons, still young men, became her only remaining support. In time, Mahlon and Chilion each married Moabite women. Mahlon married Ruth, and Chilion married Orpah. For about 10 years they lived in Moab. The sons worked, the wives managed their households, and Naomi did what she could to care for the family. Then grief struck again. Both Mahlon and Chilion died. She had already lost her husband, and now her sons. It was a profound blow to Naomi. She was left completely bereft, a mother without children, a widow without a husband, and a foreigner without community. Now Naomi, Ruth, and Orpah stood together as 3 widows, bound by grief and circumstance, vulnerable in a society where women without husbands had little security or provision. Naomi's heart must have felt the weight of despair. She had left her home to survive famine, only to lose everything that gave life meaning. Word reached Naomi that the Lord had visited his people and given them food again. The famine in Judah had ended, or at least diminished. Bethlehem once more had bread. With no reason to remain in Moab and longing for her homeland, Naomi resolved to return. Her daughters-in-law set out with her, but along the way Naomi stopped. She turned to Ruth and Orpah with a heavy heart and spoke with compassion, but also with resignation.
Go back, each of you, to your mother's house. May the Lord deal kindly with you, as you have dealt with the dead and with me. The Lord grant that you may find rest, each of you, in the house of her husband.
Her words were both blessing and encouragement. She released them from obligation, urging them to return to their families, where they might remarry and secure their own futures. Both daughters-in-law protested, insisting they would go with her to her people. But Naomi pressed further. She explained the hopelessness of their situation. She had no more sons to offer them as husbands. She was too old to remarry and bear more children. Following her meant embracing widowhood and poverty in a foreign land. Orpah wept at Naomi's words. She loved her mother-in-law and was reluctant to leave. But after heavy weeping, she chose to return to her people and her gods. Her departure was sorrowful but understandable. Her loyalty, while genuine, could not override the pull of her homeland and the promise of a new life. She disappears from the biblical record after this, remembered for her grief, but also for her decision to remain in her homeland. But Ruth clung to Naomi. The Hebrew word used here is the same one used of a man clinging to his wife in covenant loyalty. It expresses deep commitment. Naomi urged her again to follow Orpah back to her people and her gods. But Ruth made a declaration of devotion that would echo through history.
Do not urge me to leave you or to return from following you. For where you go, I will go, and where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God will be my God. Where you die, I will die, and there will I be buried. May the Lord punish me severely if I allow anything but death to separate us.
Ruth's words marked a turning point. She not only committed herself to Naomi, but also embraced the God of Israel as her own, leaving behind her nation, her own culture, family, and gods to identify fully with Naomi's people and faith. Naomi must have been moved beyond words. Here was a Moabite widow, willing to leave her own life behind to accompany her into the unknown. Seeing Ruth's steadfastness, Naomi said no more, and the two women traveled on together until they arrived in Bethlehem.
By the way, if you find these videos interesting, meaningful, or enjoyable, please consider subscribing.
Women of the city exclaimed, "Is this Naomi?" Years of grief and loss had aged her. She responded with bitterness.
Do not call me Naomi. Call me Mara, for the Almighty has dealt very bitterly with me. I went away full, and the Lord has brought me back empty. Why call me Naomi, when the Lord has testified against me, and the Almighty has brought calamity upon me?
Her declaration was deeply meaningful. The name Naomi means pleasant or delightful, but in her grief, she felt anything but pleasant. By asking to be called Mara, meaning bitter, Naomi expressed the depth of her loss. She believed her life had been stripped of joy by God's hand. The timing of Naomi and Ruth's arrival was significant. Scripture notes, and they came to Bethlehem at the beginning of the barley harvest. This detail is significant, for the barley harvest marked the start of the agricultural season, and with the harvests beginning in Bethlehem, Ruth faced the practical challenge of providing food for herself and Naomi, as she had no property and no means of support. In Israelite law, God had commanded landowners not to reap their fields to the edges or gather what was left behind. The poor, the foreigner, the widow, and the orphan had the right to glean from the leftovers. This system provided food for the vulnerable while reminding Israel of God's mercy. Ruth, eager to provide for Naomi and herself, asked permission to go to the fields and glean. With Naomi's approval, Ruth set out into the fields to glean behind the harvesters, collecting leftover stalks of barley. Providence guided her steps to the field of a wealthy landowner named Boaz, a relative of Elimelech. Boaz arrived from Bethlehem and greeted his workers with the words,
"The Lord be with you."
They answered.
"The Lord bless you."
Even in these simple words, his faith was evident in his speech, and his character would shine even more brightly. Noticing Ruth among the gleaners, Boaz asked,
"Who is that young woman?"
The overseer replied,
"She's the Moabite woman who came back with Naomi from Moab. She's been working steadily since morning, hardly taking a rest."
Boaz looked on thoughtfully, impressed by her dedication. He walked over to Ruth and spoke kindly.
Listen, my daughter. Do not go to glean in another field or leave this one. Stay close to my young women and keep your eyes on the parts of the field they are reaping. Follow them closely. Have I not charged the young men not to touch you? And if you are thirsty, go to the vessels and drink what the young men have drawn.
Boaz's words show remarkable protection and provision. He was aware of her vulnerability as a widow and a foreigner, and he ensured she could glean safely and with dignity. Ruth fell on her face, overwhelmed.
Why have I found favor in your eyes, that you should take notice of me, since I am a foreigner?
She asked. Boaz replied,
I have heard of all you have done for your mother-in-law, how you left your own land and family to care for her.
He blessed her sincerely, saying,
The Lord repay you for what you have done, and a full reward be given to you by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge.
Ruth felt a warmth of reassurance and protection in his words, sensing God's favor resting upon her through this kind and honorable man. Later, Boaz instructed his men to allow Ruth not only to glean among the sheaves, but also to pull out stalks for her deliberately. Ruth gathered abundantly, about an ephah of barley, nearly 30 pounds. When Ruth returned home and showed Naomi the grain, her heart began to stir with hope. She asked where Ruth had gleaned. On hearing it was Boaz, Naomi exclaimed,
May he be blessed by the Lord, whose kindness has not forsaken the living or the dead. The man is a close relative of ours, one of our redeemers.
The word redeemer refers to the Hebrew concept of kinsman redeemer, goel. According to Israelite law, a close relative could redeem a family member in distress by buying back land, rescuing from slavery, or marrying a widow to preserve the family line. Naomi began to see the possibility of redemption unfolding. As the days passed and the final sheaves of wheat were gathered, Ruth continued in her steady rhythm, rising early, working diligently in the fields of Boaz, and returning home with grain for Naomi. Her devotion was evident not only in her labor, but in her humility. Still, as the harvests drew to a close, Naomi knew that a greater need remained. Daily bread could sustain them for a season, but Naomi longed for something more permanent for Ruth: rest and security. In ancient Israel, a woman's future was bound up with the household of a husband. Without such a covering, Ruth remained vulnerable, despite her strength of character. Naomi's heart, filled with maternal affection, could not rest until she sought a lasting home for her daughter-in-law. One evening, Naomi said to her,
My daughter, it's time that I found a permanent home for you, so that you will be provided for. Boaz is a close relative of ours, and he's been very kind by letting you gather grain with his young women. Tonight, he will be winnowing barley at the threshing floor.
Threshing floors were open, flat places where harvested grain was separated from chaff, often accompanied by festivity and feasting at the end of the season. Boaz, as the landowner, would be there personally to oversee and protect his harvest. Naomi devised a bold plan, and then she counseled Ruth.
Wash yourself, anoint yourself, and put on your cloak. Then go down to the threshing floor, but do not make yourself known to the man until he has finished eating and drinking. When he lies down, observe the place where he lies. Then go, uncover his feet, and lie down, and he will tell you what to do.
To modern ears, the instruction may sound unusual, but in their context it carried no hint of impropriety. Rather, it was a symbolic act of submission and request for protection. By uncovering his feet and lying there, Ruth would be humbly placing herself under Boaz's authority, asking him in essence to spread his cloak, his covering over her, a gesture tied to marriage and covenant. Ruth's answer was simple, full of trust.
All that you say, I will do.
That night, Boaz's heart was merry after eating and drinking. He lay down at the end of a heap of grain, content after the harvest. Quietly and with great care, Ruth did as Naomi had instructed. She approached in the stillness of the night, uncovered his feet, and lay down. At midnight, Boaz was startled awake. Turning over, he discovered a woman lying at his feet. Startled and uncertain, he asked,
Who are you?
Ruth answered with courage and humility.
I am Ruth, your servant. Spread your wings over your servant, for you are a redeemer.
Boaz responded with deep respect.
May you be blessed by the Lord, my daughter. You have made this last kindness greater than the first, in that you have not gone after young men, whether poor or rich. And now, my daughter, do not fear. I will do for you all that you ask. For everyone in town knows you are a virtuous woman.
The phrase virtuous woman in Hebrew eshet chayil is the same used in Proverbs 31:10 of the virtuous woman. Ruth's reputation for loyalty, diligence, and faith had become known in Bethlehem. Yet Boaz revealed an obstacle. Though he was willing, there was another relative closer in line to redeem Naomi's family. According to the law, that man had the first right to marry Ruth and redeem the property. Boaz promised to resolve the matter the next day. Still, he solemnly promised that if the man refused, he himself would redeem Ruth. To preserve her reputation, Boaz instructed Ruth to remain at his feet until morning, but to leave before dawn, so others would not misinterpret her presence. Before she left, he filled her cloak with 6 measures of barley, a generous gift symbolizing his intent to provide for her. When Ruth returned home, Naomi eagerly awaited her. Ruth recounted all that had happened, including Boaz's promise and the gift of grain. Naomi, with wisdom and faith, reassured her.
Wait, my daughter, until you learn how the matter turns out. For the man will not rest, but will settle the matter today.
Early the next morning, Boaz went to the city gate of Bethlehem, the traditional place of legal transactions and judgments. He sat down, and when the nearer kinsman came by, Boaz called him to sit as well. He also gathered 10 elders of the city as witnesses. Boaz began by presenting the matter in terms of land redemption.
You know Naomi, who came back from Moab. She is selling the land that belonged to our relative Elimelech. I thought I should speak to you about it, so that you can redeem it if you wish. If you want the land, then buy it here in the presence of these witnesses. But if you don't want it, let me know right away, because I am next in line to redeem it after you.
Hearing this, the man readily expressed his willingness. All right, I will redeem it. Redeeming land was a gainful opportunity. It expanded his estate, enhanced his standing, and kept property within the family. But Boaz then added the crucial detail, the second part of the obligation.
Of course, your purchase of the land from Naomi also requires that you marry Ruth, the Moabite widow. That way she can have children who will carry on her husband's name and keep the land in the family.
At this, the man reconsidered. He said,
I cannot redeem it for myself, because this might endanger my own estate. You redeem the land. I cannot do it.
His refusal may have been due to fear of dividing his estate or the challenge of marrying a Moabite. To seal the decision, he removed his sandal and gave it to Boaz. This was the ancient custom in Israel for confirming a legal transaction. The sandal symbolized the transfer of rights. Boaz declared publicly,
You are witnesses this day that I have bought from the hand of Naomi all that belonged to Elimelech and all that belonged to Chilion and to Mahlon. Also Ruth the Moabite, the widow of Mahlon, I have bought to be my wife, to perpetuate the name of the dead in his inheritance, that the name of the dead may not be cut off from among his brothers and from the gate of his native place. You are witnesses this day.
The people responded with blessing.
May the Lord make the woman who is coming into your house like Rachel and Leah, who together built up the house of Israel. May you act worthily in Ephrathah and be renowned in Bethlehem. And may your house be like the house of Perez, whom Tamar bore to Judah, because of the offspring that the Lord will give you by this young woman.
Thus, at the city gate, redemption was secured. What began with famine, loss, and grief was now transformed into covenant, hope, and blessing, watched and affirmed by the community of God's people. So Boaz took Ruth into his home, and she became his wife. The Lord blessed their union, and Ruth became pregnant and gave birth to a son. Then the women of the town rejoiced with Naomi.
Blessed be the Lord, who has not left you this day without a redeemer, and may his name be renowned in Israel. He shall be to you a restorer of life, and a nourisher of your old age. For your daughter-in-law, who loves you, who is more to you than 7 sons, has given birth to him.
Naomi, once bitter and empty, now held new life in her arms. She took the child, laid him on her lap, and became his nurse. And the neighbor women said,
Now at last Naomi has a son again.
They named him Obed, which means servant. Obed would grow up to be the father of Jesse, who in turn became the father of King David. Through Ruth, the foreigner from Moab, the lineage of the Messiah was preserved. The story of Ruth teaches us profound lessons about faith, loyalty, and God's providence. One of the clearest lessons is that true faith often begins in courageous surrender. Ruth left her homeland, family, and gods to follow Naomi and the God of Israel, a God she did not fully know. Her decision to trust and serve God, even in uncertainty, demonstrates that faith is not just belief. It is obedience, trust, and action. From Ruth, we learn the importance of steadfast loyalty, selfless love, and courage to step into the unknown while relying on God's guidance. Boaz also teaches a vital lesson about faithfulness and integrity. Through his protection, kindness, and generosity, he shows that true love honors others, safeguards dignity, and acts righteously even when it requires personal sacrifice, showing how love and justice can coexist. Naomi's journey from emptiness to fullness demonstrates the gospel itself. Her story reminds us that life can bring seasons of suffering and disappointment. Even the faithful may face loss, uncertainty, or feelings of abandonment. Yet Naomi also shows that despair is not the end of the story. When she returned to Bethlehem, she encountered restoration through Ruth's loyalty and Boaz's kindness, both of which were guided by God's unseen hand. Naomi's life illustrates that God can turn bitterness into blessing, emptiness into fullness, and loss into unexpected joy. In today's world, Ruth's story remains deeply relevant. It challenges us to act with integrity, loyalty, and courage in our relationships, workplaces, and communities. It reminds us that faith often calls us to step outside our comfort zones, to trust in God's unseen hand, and to serve others selflessly. Just as Ruth, a foreigner, became part of God's redemptive plan, we too can participate in his work, making choices that reflect love, righteousness, and faithfulness. Naomi's story also speaks to anyone facing hardship or loss, showing that even the darkest seasons can be redeemed through trust, perseverance, and the support of faithful companions. Finally, the kinsman redeemer, Boaz, points forward to Jesus, our ultimate redeemer. While Boaz redeemed Ruth to continue a family line, Christ redeems us to give eternal life, forgiveness, and a place in God's family. His redemption is not with silver or gold, but through his own sacrifice, offering hope and restoration to all who believe. In essence, the story of Ruth encourages us to live boldly with faith, act with love, and hope confidently in God's promises. It is a timeless story of restoration, redemption, and the quiet power of faithfulness, one that continues to speak to our lives today.
Before you go, please don't forget to check out.
All right. So that was the great animation video. Again, please hit the like, the subscribes on all the links that I put in the comment sections for each of the platforms. To the people who made this video, to my page, any help would be greatly appreciated, so we can continue with stuff like this and help support one another, spread the gospel. All right. So next weekend, we begin with the prophet Samuel. He's next on the list as we journey through the story of King David. All right. So God bless you guys. I love you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, please hit the like, subscribe on all the platforms, and enjoy the rest of your evening. God bless you. May the Lord be with you forever.
Naomi went out with a heavy heart, and Ruth said, I'm yours, I'll play my part. Your people, my people, I choose their road. Even in grief, she carried her load. She gleaned in the field with humble hands, learning the ways of the harvest land. Every step, she listened close. Wisdom came in the little things most. She learned how to wait, learned how to kneel, learned that faith is more than a feeling. Under the law, under the sun, she kept her word till the work was done. Ruth, 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 loyal and true. Ruth, 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 she followed through. She bowed her heart to the Holy One. Her new life begun. Boaz saw her there with a steady face. He watched her grace in a hard-earned place. She was a servant, but she walked like a queen. Quiet obedience, pure and clean. Then Boaz took her as his own. Covenant love in a house and home. Ruth bore Obed, a promise in her arms. Small hands, big destiny, safe from harm. She learned how to trust, learned how to stay. When the road was dark, she kept the way. Honor in her steps, mercy in her name. Through the battlefields, she was never the same. Loyal and true. She followed through. She bowed her heart to the Holy One. Her new life begun. From Obed came Jesse. From Jesse came a king. God wrote a future out of a simple thing. One faithful, yes, one willing soul, and a mother's line made history. Oh, she carried the seed of a royal song. What looked like small was mighty all along. Loyal and true. She followed through. She bowed her heart to the Holy One. Her new life begun. Obed was born, and grace rolled on. Ruth, 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 till David's song.